Hope you have found this video useful. The best way to support the channel and ensure you don't miss our next upload is to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Text on the middle of the screen. Subscribe now. Surah Saad, the letter side. The letter Saad, the letter Saad. The primal refusal. The anatomy of arrogance. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed, your sanctuary for the deep intellectual and metaphysical excavation of the Holy Quran. In our previous session, we stood at the threshold of the Exalted Assembly, hearing the great news from which humanity habitually turns away. We learned that Allah is the Almighty, the oft-forgiving, the Lord of all, that is between the heavens and the earth. Today, we enter the most critical chapter of our cosmic prehistory. In verses 71 through 75, we witness the great news in action. We are transported back to the moment of our very origin, the creation of Adam, as we will analyze the divine decree to the angels, the mystery of the Spirit breathed into the clay. In the moment the entire celestial assembly prostrated save for one, we will excavate the psychology of Iblis, the false logic of superiority, and the majesty of the human form. This is an excavation of origin, ego, and divine proportion. We are moving from the proclamation of the message to the raw drama of the first rebellion, identifying the exact moment where pride entered the creation and began its war against the truth. The architecture of clay, the divine intention. We begin with the announcement that transformed the Exalted Assembly into a theater of trial. This is the moment where the material world was invited to host the divine secret, Kanzal Iman Quran. Surah Saad, the letter Saad, chapter 38, verse 71. When your Lord said to the angels, I am about to create a human being from clay. In this excavation, we see the deliberate humility of our physical origin. Allah chose tin clay, a mixture of earth and water. Clay is moldable, heavy and lowly. By announcing this to the angels who are made of light nur, Allah was setting the stage for a test of spiritual perception. He was asking the celestial beings, can you see the artist behind the material? Can you recognize the king even when he presents himself in the garment of the earth? Metaphysically, the choice of clay signifies the potential for infinite growth. Clay can be hardened into stone or softened into life. It represents the earthly side of the human experience, the body, the needs, and the physical limitations. But as we will see, this lowly clay was destined to carry something of infinite value. The dispute we mentioned in the previous session reaches its climax here. The angels wondered how a creature of the earth could represent the Lord of the heavens, but they waited for the perfection to be completed before they passed judgment. This teaches us that the beginning of a thing does not dictate its end. 2. The alchemy of the spirit. The command to bow. Allah now describes the two stages of human creation, the biological formation and the spiritual infusion. This is the moment of the great synthesis where the finite meets the infinite. Quran Surah Iman, Quran Surah Saad, the letter Saad. Chapter 38, verse 72. So when I have perfected him and breathed into him a spirit from myself, fall down prostrate before him. This is the metaphysics of perfection, Soweto. It refers to the balancing of the human form, the alignment of the spiritual centers, and the preparation of the vessel to hold the divine secret. But the physical perfection, the symmetrical limbs and the complex brain, was not enough to earn the prostration of angels. The command to bow only applied once the raw spirit was breathed in. In this excavation, the phrase min ruhi, from my spirit, is the most profound honor ever bestowed upon a creature. It does not mean a piece of Allah became man, but that the human spirit has a direct connection and a secret breath that the angels do not possess in the same way. The side of prostration was not to the clay, but to the light of Allah within the clay. It was a recognition that man is the bridge between the material world and the divine presence. We are the only beings who are truly half dust and half spirit, and it is this duality that makes us the great news. 3. The celestial submission. The unity of light, the response of the Exalted Assembly, was instantaneous, unanimous, and devoid of the ego's interference. It was a symphony of surrender. On Surah Saad, the letter Saad. Surah Saad, chapter 38, verse 73. So the angels prostrated all of them together. The word kaluhim, all of them, and agamon together, emphasizes the absolute lack of hesitation. The angels understood that the command of Allah is the only reality that matters. Their logic was simple and pure. the Lord commanded it. Therefore the object of the command is worthy of honor. Metaphysically, this represents the unity of obedience. The angels saw past the clay and recognized the will of Allah. They understood that if Allah honors a creature, it is their duty to honor it as well. This prostration marks the beginning of the human era in the cosmos. Every angel, from the highest rank to the lowest, acknowledged the status of the excellent slave in the making. They became the servants of the spiritual potential of man, guarding him as he navigates the between realms. 4. The birth of the shadow, the refusal of Iblis. Amidst the sea of prostrating light, one figure stood tall in a state of rigid, cold defiance. This is the birth of the other, the shadow that would haunt the human journey. Koanzalaman, Quran. Surah Saad, the letter Saad, chapter 38, verse 74, except Iblis, who was proud and became a disbeliever. The word istakbara, he was proud, arrogant, is the technical term for the inflation of the ego. Iblis did not lack knowledge of Allah, he lacked humility. He was present in the Exalted Assembly. He heard the voice of Allah, yet his self became a veil between him and the truth. His worship was a tower. But it was built on the foundation of self, not surrender. In this excavation, we see the anatomy of kafir, disbelief. It is not always a lack of evidence, it is a lack of character. Iblis became a kafir not because he denied Allah's existence, but because he denied Allah's authority over his own opinions. He preferred his own logic of fire over the command of the Creator. This is the pride that leads to the evil return we analyzed in verses 55 to 60. Iblis is the blueprint for every tyrant and every arrogant soul who believes their own light is brighter than the sun of truth. The divine inquiry, the two hands of creation. Allah, the all-knowing, confronts the rebel, exposing the ultimate absurdity of his pride. He highlights the unique nature of man's creation to show that Iblis's logic was flawed from its inception. Kanzel, Iman, Quran, Surah Saad, the letter Saad, chapter 38, verse 75, said Allah, O Iblis, what prevented you from prostrating to one whom I have created with my own two hands? Are you proud, or are you really of the high rank? Allah uses the term bayadaya, with my two hands. This is a metaphysical honorific. It signifies the absolute care, attention, and divine proportion used in the creation of man. It marks man as the handmade masterpiece of the universe, distinguishing him from everything else created by a collective command. In this excavation, the question, are you proud or of the high rank? Am kunta minal alan is a devastating critique. Allah is asking, is this pride coming from your own inflated ego? Or do you truly believe you belong to those exalted beings who are so absorbed in my light that they are beyond this command? Iblis's refusal was based on a false ontology. He looked at the clay but was blind to the hands that shaped it. He focused on the material and ignored the maker. He saw the shadow but missed the sun, and in doing so he lost everything. By detailed excavation, the mystery of the two hands to achieve our depth. We must analyze the phrase bayadaya and what it means for our self-worth and our responsibility as carriers of the divine breath. Direct creation. While other things were created by the word kun be, Adam is described as being shaped by the two hands. This signifies divine intimacy. We are not mass-produced, we are handcrafted. Every human soul is a unique project of the divine. The balance of opposites in Sufi thought. The two hands represent the names of Majesty Jalal and the names of Beauty Jamal. Man is the only creature that reflects both. We have the potential for the highest light and the lowest darkness. We are the great news because we are the complete mirror of the divine attributes, carrying the weight of both the earth and the heavens. The argument against tribalism and racism, when Allah says He created man with His hands. He is saying that the value of a human is not in their source material, ethnicity, social status, or wealth, but in their manufacture. To look down on another human being is to criticize the artistry of Allah. Racism is, at its core, the continuation of Iblis's logic judging the clay instead of the hands. 7. The psychology of Iblis. Logic of fire versus clay. We must excavate the internal dispute of Iblis that led to his catastrophic fall from grace. This is the study of how an elite worshipper becomes a cursed rebel. The trap of comparison. Iblis's mistake was to compare his nature to Adam's nature. Comparison is the thief of peace and the father of pride. He saw himself as better Anachiron because fire is subtle and rising, while clay is heavy and falling. He mistook subtlety for superiority, forgetting that all elements are but tools in the hand of the Creator. The materialist fallacy. Iblis was the first materialist. He believed that the stuff you are made of determines your value. He ignored the spirit and the command. In the modern world, when we judge people by their bank accounts or titles, we are following the logic of Iblis, the arrogance of intellect. Iblis thought his rationality was superior to Allah's revelation. He became trapped in his own head, losing the vision of the heart. He forgot that the one who created fire also created clay, and the Creator's wisdom is higher than the creature's logic. 8. The Exalted Assembly and the Test of Hierarchy, verse 73 and 74, show how the celestial hierarchy was completely reshuffled by a single command. It reveals that rank is not fixed, but earned through submission. The fall of the scholar Iblis was not an angel. He was a jinn who had reached the ranks of the angels through massive amounts of worship. He was an elite, but his status was based on performance, not on surrender. When the test of surrender came, his internal rot was exposed. The triumph of the humble, the angels, who are made of light and are inherently higher than clay, bowed without question. This proves that true high rank is found in obedience, not in composition. The excellent slave is the one who bows, regardless of how lowly the object of the command appears to the eyes. The shadow in the assembly, the image of Iblis standing while the entire universe prostrates, is a powerful symbol of spiritual isolation. By refusing to bow, he separated himself from the unity of the heavens. He became a self against the all, and in that isolation, he found his eternal misery. Perfection and the divine breath Ra, verse 72, describes the process of Sawa to perfection and Nafak to breathing. This is the blueprint of the human soul. The biological vessel. Before the spirit enters, the body must be perfected. This means that the human body is a sacred temple designed specifically to house the divine breath. Our biological systems are tuned to the frequency of the spirit. Our very anatomy is a preparation for the soul, the breath of life. The Ruh is what gives man the capacity for knowledge, ilm, speech bahan, and love mahabba. It is the secret that the angels were looking for. This breath is the reason we feel a longing for the infinite. It is the divine spark in the lantern of clay. The prostration of the universe, when the angels bowed to Adam. They were signaling that the entire universe is subject to the human being who is a true slave of Allah. The forces of nature are designed to serve the spirit, not the body. When we forget the spirit, we lose our authority over the world. The question of rank, Alan, and the swollen ego in verse 75. Allah asks if Iblis is among the Alan. This is a crucial distinction between true high rank and false pride. The truly exalted, some Sufi commentators suggest that Alan refers to those souls who were so lost in the light of Allah that they didn't even hear the command to bow to anything else. They were the lost in love. Iblis, however, was fully present and chose to be proud as Stakbarta. The inflation of the self. To be proud is to claim a rank you have not earned. Iblis's rank was a mask of worship covering a heart of arrogance. Underneath the mask was a creature who loved his own status more than he loved his creator. Arrogance is the false high that leads to the deep fall. The metaphysics of origin and our identity today. We must connect our origin in verse 71 to our return in verse 55. This is the circle of life that every soul must navigate. Clay to garden. The clay was always intended for the gardens of eternity. The physical body is temporary, but the hands of Allah have prepared an eternal home for the spirit. We are travelers from the heavens, currently wearing a suit of clay, making our way back to the breath. The warning to the audience, Allah is telling us that our pride is an echo of Iblis's pride. When a person rejects the truth today, they're saying, I am better than this message, just as Iblis said, I am better than Adam. Every act of arrogance is a repetition of the primal sin that shattered the peace of the heavens. 12. The Exalted Assembly and the source of true power in verse 75. The hands of Allah represent the absolute creative sovereignty and the direct attention of the Creator. No intermediaries. For the creation of Adam, Allah emphasizes his direct involvement. This makes the human soul sacred in a way that nothing else is. We are the signature piece of the Creator, carrying the marks of his craftsmanship. The responsibility of the Spirit. If we are handcrafted and Spirit-breathed, how can we waste our lives in turning away? Verse 68. How can we participate in the dispute of the fire? Verse 64. This script is a call to reclaim our divine dignity through the path of humility and service. 13. The tragedy of Iblis. From worship to cursing. The loss of perspective. Iblis used to look at the throne. After his pride, he could only see his own fire. Arrogance shrinks the soul's vision until there's nothing left but the self. It is the ultimate spiritual claustrophobia, where the walls of the ego close in on the light. The refusal of forgiveness. While Allah is oft forgiving Ghaffar, Iblis never asked for it. He was too proud to admit he was wrong, even when confronted by the Creator. Arrogance is the only wall that the mercy of Allah does not cross, because the arrogant person refuses to open the door to their own heart. 14. The anatomy of a spiritual failure. 3 pillars of ruined sight without vision. Iblis saw the clay, but he did not see the spirit. He saw the form, but missed the meaning. Was a scientist of matter, but a fool of the spirit. Logic without love. He calculated his superiority using a broken formula. He forgot that the one who created him was the one commanding him. His intellect became his idol. Pride without substance. He thought he was high, but he was merely swollen with ego. He traded eternal proximity for a moment of feeling better than another. This is the ultimate bad bargain of the soul. 15. Conclusion. The mirror of the first command. These 5 verses describe the foundation of the human mystery and the origin of our spiritual struggle. The divine choice. Allah chose the clay to carry his spirit. He chose the lowly to hold the infinite, showing that value is a gift from him, not a property of our nature. The great divide. The cosmos is forever divided between those who prostrate to the divine decree and those who stand proud in their own logic. There is no middle ground in the face of the King. The call to return, by remembering our origin, the clay, the spirit, and the hands of Allah. We find the humility to become excellent slaves. We realize that our greatness is not in ourselves, but in the one who breathed life into us. Hadith. The messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, "He who has in his heart the weight of a mustard seed of pride shall not enter paradise." Muslim. This hadith is the ultimate summary of verse 74. Iblis had more than a mustard seed. He had a mountain of pride. This pride veiled him from the truth and turned him into a kafur, despite his vast knowledge. No matter how much we worship, if we carry the logic of Iblis thinking we are better than others based on our nature, race, or status, we are walking away from the beautiful return. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, who fashioned Adam with your 2 hands and breathed into him from your spirit, we seek your refuge from the pride of Iblis and the blindness of arrogance that hides the truth. O Allah, let us not be among those who judge by outward forms, but make us of those who recognize the light of your command in all things and all people. Soften the clay of our hearts so that we may prostrate to your will without hesitation. Protect us from the inflation of the self and count us among the excellent slaves who are honored in the Exalted Assembly. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ill. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Ameen.